I'm really happy to hand over now to Solen, who will open the first conversation of this session.
Hi, everyone. So we're very happy to have with us today Uwe Niehaus, who's Managing Director of BPI, and Matteo Cabodi, who is Project Manager at BPI for this roundtable, which will last about 10 minutes. So together we'll discuss capacity building and peer learning in times of crisis. But before that, I would simply like to add a bit of context. So every spring for the FEDORA prizes, FEDORA supports and accompanies nominated projects to run a fundraising campaign and boost international visibility. So this year, in the context of the COVID-19 crisis, we had to rethink everything, how we can accompany the 16 projects, but also how to appeal for fundings. So with the help of BPI, we introduced online capacity building workshops and an online nominee event to launch the campaigns last June. So first, thank you to the BPI team for this pro bono partnership and the time and energy for accompanying us during this challenging time. And I think I would like to start this roundtable with the first question to you, Uwe. Could you first tell us what is BPI and what was your motivation behind creating it, and why did you decide to team up with FEDORA?
Yes, hello, thank you. Good morning, everyone here from Madrid. Thanks for the question. Of course, with that kind of question, you can have me talk for an hour, but I don't think that's the purpose here this morning. So let me be brief. I'm really proud to be here with all of you today. Maybe 2 words on BPI. We founded with some partners BPI more than 10 years ago, 11 years ago to be exact. Maybe just to talk about the motivation, as a probably roughly 10 years manager in various organizations and the management consultant that had worked for many years in what is called performance transformations, I had learned that learning is actually something very important, that in the professional world, very much professional in terms of white collar or in the business organizations that I was part of, we underestimate how learning really works. I'm pretty sure the performing arts can actually teach the lesson here. But if you discover that, then you are intrigued and you wonder why that is. And so BPI, we founded because we thought there are better ways to really demonstrate that learning is an amazing opportunity for progress, for development, for innovation. And that's what we felt we needed to create new ways. And it took us a couple of days, actually 3-4 years before we even had the courage to call ourselves learning consultant, which didn't exist even as a term. But I think it describes at least where we are, what we are focusing on and what we are doing. I think the opportunity to work with you and your team, Edilia, is just amazing for us. We are, of course, also as human beings connected to the performing arts. Some of us are singers, some of us are having other paths before they became boring consultants or whatever. So now we also have some common friends. And when we heard about the challenges that you and your performing arts network is facing, we thought this is just a great opportunity to bring what we do with many corporations. We do that actually also with nonprofit. We have been working with United Nations, NATO, and other organizations as well. And so it was just a great honor and a great opportunity to, in this particular moment, also help on topics like crowdfunding.
Actually, could you tell us a bit more and share with us how you accompanied us and the nominated projects, Uwe or Matteo?
So I can take that one, and thank you very much for having me as well today, and thank you for this beautiful collaboration over the past months. So we worked together with FEDORA and the project teams. So on the FEDORA front, we went from what I'd like to define from the red thread to virtual joint adventures together. So through, we acted a little bit as thought partners to determine what was the red thread of the crowdfunding campaign. So what was the goal, the projects, what they needed to do, and how could we potentially help not only the FEDORA team, but also the projects that were involved into that. And we provided also on top of that some support behind the curtains to design and co-moderate some workshops, including the final pitching event. With the project teams, we worked on sharing, consolidating, and practicing crowdfunding best practices. So we collected experiences from past projects on what worked well in crowdfunding, as well as challenges and learning needs. We worked with the current 16 nominated projects to consolidate the group wisdom into what we call the crowdfunding toolkit. And then we organized also peer pitching sessions with feedback to boost the project's abilities to pitch their project at the beginning of the crowdfunding campaign.
Yes, and actually it was very nice to see the learning paths of all the 16 projects and to see the different challenges that there could be in the opera category or education category or ballet. So I think I have one last question is, so what did you enjoy most and what insights of this experience were the most enriching, you would say?
I can maybe start, and then Uwe, please join me if you have further comments from your side. But there's 2 points that come to mind. So one is what I'd like to define a little bit, the power of learning even in these difficult times. So seeing the projects and the FEDORA team grow through this joint collaboration has been just amazing. I mean, if I think of the project team, I think in the pitching event, we even had someone pitching in front of a leg to boost their emotional experience about the projects that they were trying to bring across. So building on the learnings of making it an emotional experience, which was something that we discussed in the session. So I could really see the how the projects really embraced the toolkit that we had defined, and also for the FEDORA team, for sure, obviously getting organized to redesign the entire crowdfunding support for the projects in a fully virtual setting, from 0 to 100 in the span of days sometimes has been really outstanding to see. And the other element that I wanted to underline is also the great collaboration and the open sharing atmosphere that we witnessed among the different projects. I think this is a sector that probably in the past has been known for also being a little bit close to each other. But I think, I don't know if only the pandemic, but for sure the work that we did together, and especially the great work that FEDORA is doing, is definitely helping the sector to open up and to share in a safe space what are the best practices that can really bring the sector to a new level. So I'm very happy to have witnessed that.
Just one word, Matteo, if I can add one, is it's actually kind of funny for me that, you know, when we look at performing arts and artists, we admire and we recognize the need for practicing and getting better and better and better in that. And it's kind of funny that we, in our daily job, actually, it's reminding professionals, being it consultant, being it manager, being it whatever kind of professional roles, that actually that learning, that practicing makes us better. Because in that world, I recognize we don't do that. And I think if I think of performing arts and crowdfunding, which is for many of them a new area, and you ask yourself, how often do you have to do crowdfunding and as a campaign to become good in this? It's probably not once, and it's definitely not twice. It's probably 20, 30, 50 times, because you get better every time. And I think a little bit is what we are doing is kind of just accelerating that process and helping the cross-link between the experience to maybe step a little bit faster than the individual tough learning that you do each time. So that's what I think. It's wonderful because artists like sports people is such an easy way to connect to that world and demonstrate to all of us how our brain really works, and that's required. And it's also fun to do, by the way.
And we were also very grateful on our side to be able to share this sharing practice and sharing of knowledge all together. And I'm wondering if there's anyone from the public, the participants, who would like to ask any question. If you do, you can just unmute yourself or ask from the chat box. I'll leave just a couple seconds if so.
So then in the meantime, I can actually share that I had the honor together with Edilia being together with 100 or so students, and we debated with them on the importance of performing arts. These were business students, I have to admit, and we had some really good, challenging questions from them on, you know, what is FEDORA going to do to help performing arts now? Is it right to invest into culture now while hospitals maybe are screaming as well to have support? And it was really good to have that discussion. And I'm pretty sure Edilia did an absolutely amazing job, as we heard from the feedback, to convince some of them even to look into social entrepreneurship going forward from their career. So it was fun to do that, actually.
It definitely has been a fun journey. I'm looking forward also to the upcoming months, also the entire team, to build on what we've created over the last in the pandemic. And it's really beautiful to see that crisis is a source of creativity and new partnerships and new beginnings. So thank you so much.
We're looking forward as well. We are excited. It was fun. And I think we have many of our colleagues who can't wait to join the work with you guys. So let's keep it going. Great.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Uwe and Matteo. I think we can close up this roundtable. And Hélène, go ahead. The floor is yours now.
Thank you, Solen. I'm very happy to start the second session of this conversation. We will be talking for 20 minutes with Frédéric Longatte and Christian Binelli from Secutix, which is our new member. We are delighted to welcome this new member at this occasion. As most of you know, Secutix is a global provider of the SaaS ticketing engagement platform Secutix 360 degrees. This platform was born in the cloud of an innovative and agile approach to ticketing. By combining ticketing, CRM, and analytics in a single in-mode solution, Secutix helps their clients to target all their audience across all channels and control their ticket distribution optimally. Its network is incredible because it's in Europe and in USA and includes, for instance, Centre Pompidou, Stade de France, UEFA. In the cultural sector, we have Opéra National de Paris, Théâtre Réal, etc. So it's quite amazing. First, I'm delighted to introduce Frédéric Longatte, who is the CEO of Swiss-based CAS ticketing platform provider, Secutix. He is passionate about technology applied to the various sectors in which he gained his experience: telecom, retail, consumer goods, transport, and ticketing. Today, he leads Secutix international expansion and strategy to become a leader in SaaS solutions for sports, museums, and music. Then I'm delighted to introduce Christian Binelli, who is the COO of Secutix and the managing director for France, with more than 20 years of experience in new technology and more than 10 in ticketing. The digital transformation of leisure and cultural venues is his favorite subject, and for him, and I think we can agree with him, after the wave of disintermediation of sales, thanks to the internet, after the move of back office teams towards consulting and added value services for the public, now comes 100% digitalization era. This new era will enable a unique link with each spectator to give him the means to configure their own experience, and at the same time to bring more security and services to the right holders, which bring me to the context of our conversation about the sustainable ticketing future. Now, Frédéric, may I ask you what innovation were you working on before the COVID-19 crisis?
Works better if I unmute myself. Hello, everyone. Very happy to be here. Can you hear me now? Yeah. No, first of all, thank you for welcoming us in the FEDORA family. We are really excited. Something new for us. You know, we are a technology company, and we are not that present into you know, European organization, and we should definitely be more present. As you mentioned, Hélène, we are present in sports, museum, and performing arts areas. Just one word as well to thank you for organizing this session. I was in a similar session yesterday, and I must say that yours is perfect compared to the one that we had yesterday, which was rather painful. So very well done to the FEDORA team on that front. So to your question about what innovation were we working on before COVID-19. So just maybe a bit of context. We are a technology company. We provide a cloud-based ticketing solution first and foremost. But what we have done in the past few years is really evolved from the pure ticketing topic to a broader topic. So ticketing is really about, essentially selling ticket and selling various type of products online for, performing arts organizations, but mostly in on-site presence, in-person tickets. But we have got also two other dimensions. One is around engagement, and the other one is around platform. So we quickly realized that, you can sell the best product that you have, but if you don't actively manage your audience, and if you don't actively enrich constantly your database, and essentially, the pandemic is a kind of accelerator from that standpoint, it's really difficult to engage your public. And I heard Ms. Kessler talking about, engaging new public, younger public, more diverse social people coming from different background, public, etc., etc. So actively managing your audience is absolutely key. And what we are seeing is, we must say that in the opera and performing arts areas, this is something which is already start to be present. If you compare to sports, and we have the chance to be across multiple verticals, if you compare to sports, there is still some way to go. But if you look at museum, for instance, I mean, they have not been used to manage their customer base and public, which means that in a pandemic situation, when they need to re-engage to propose some, new services or new products, particularly virtual streaming, etc., it's quite hard for them. So this is a second pillar. So we have been working on, expanding from ticketing into the engagement CRM part. And the last part, which is very important, and it may sound a bit techy, is what we call the platform. What we call the platform is the fact that, we don't pretend as Secutix to be at the center, to be doing everything ourselves. And we quickly discovered that in the world of ticketing, most of our, other ticketing providers are actually quite closed system and ecosystem. We took the opposite stance, which is try to be as open as possible, because what we saw is whether it's in performing arts, sports, or museum, there are multiple constantly emerging digital players, startups who have, great ideas, and they need to be able to quickly implement them and get them to market. So by being open, Secutix enable actually, additional product and services to be monetized rapidly by your clients. So by having an open platform strategy, it actually helps us, and it actually helps our clients to diversify their set of services and products that they can offer to their public and audiences. So those were the kind of two strategic axes we were working on before COVID-19.
Thank you very much, Frédéric. Christian, do you want to add anything about this question? Maybe.
No specifically on this question, but it's clear that thank you first at all. Thank you very much to give us the opportunity to be here with such a community, such an impressive community. We have quite a couple of customers in live entertainment. You mentioned Opéra de Paris, but Philharmonie, Pierre Boulez in Berlin, etc., etc. But so many. Let me say, live entertainment representative, it's an honor for us. So to answer to a question, not before the crisis, but it's clear that during the crisis, the first thing that we have done is to be very close to our customer, to listen how they are trying to manage the current situation. And the second one, we are using our model, and we develop a lot of feature by agility. It means that we are able to provide a new feature in order to help the customer to manage and to drive as best as possible the current crisis. The crisis, let me say that we have one challenge. It's a trust, it's a confidence about the public, because the public need to be come in the venues that you are responsible for, and for that we develop a specific feature. For example, we spend a lot of time and energy in order to optimize the social distancing, and our customers are able to provide the seat map, the automatic seat map, and their customers, their audience, has able to choose a seat with a lot of security, respecting the social distancing that they have to do in each country that we are currently operate. We provide also some nice feature in order to simplify the operation of a customer, because a lot of our customers sell a lot of tickets, but due to the crisis, they have to cancel all the event and to reimburse their customer. It's a burden in time for the opera, for the concert. Also, we develop a specific feature in order to automatize the mass refunding for the customer, the mass cancellation of the event, etc., etc. And last point that we have also very focused on is the communication, because I guess that the public, the audience, need to know clearly if they could buy in safely a new ticket, if they have the nice reimbursement in their account, etc., etc. So we develop also a lot of feature in order to communicate in an automatic way to their public, to warn them that the event is cancelled, basically, but also to inform them when the funds are into their account. It's something that we spend a lot of time, and now most of our customers in Europe are using those features, unfortunately, let me say.
That's very impressive. And actually, we received your wonderful visuals concerning those new functionalities, so we are happy to share them with the audience. May I also ask you, how long did it take to develop all these functionalities? Because it's very impressive.
It's a decision made by the management and endorsed by Frédéric, but let me say that we provide those functionality less than 3 months. It means that at the beginning of the crisis, we discover the pandemic, and we discover that we need to do something, and listen our customer. We have listened, our customer for 1 month, and after that we decide to put the feature in our product. And due to the fact that we are in the cloud, it means that we could activate those features through internet. Our customer will be able to use it 3 months after.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for these insights. I will go now to the last question, which is also so interesting. It's about the challenges and opportunity of online ticketing in the future. Maybe Frédéric, I can give you the lead.
Yeah, we'll start. No, I think, you know, to a certain extent, as I mentioned before, the pandemic is an accelerator of at least something that in Secutix we have been thinking about for some time. And what we see is that our clients, I mean, what do they need? They need, you know, a high level of agility in terms of the product that they sell. You know, I mean, I'm sorry, it's not very artful, but I'm just, you know, coming from the business front. You will excuse me for talking bluntly about those topics. But at the end of the day, you know, being able to sell rapidly new type of product, being agile, being able to cancel events, reschedule events, take into consideration some new constraints. You know, having a technology. I mean, this is where technology actually helps, and the fact that we are in the cloud actually helps. It provides an amazing agility and speed to market, and in order to change a platform and adjust to new conditions. So that's I think, you know, it's part of you know, what ticketing providers should provide to the industry. What we see as well is an acceleration of the mobile world, in the sense that you know, having ticket on your mobile has been something that we are all used to, you know, whether it's in airline or, you know, you get your PDF on your mobile. But the mobile ticketing is actually moving quite rapidly at the moment, and going to mobile, it's actually going to secure mobile, meaning that you receive a ticket, You are identified, you receive 3 more tickets that you bought for your family. You distribute those tickets, so you are able to trace that these tickets have been transferred to your family. And you've got a full traceability from the time the ticket is issued. So it will help with traceability. It will help also with contactless. And incidentally, it helps with fraud, especially for venues which are subject to those challenges. So that's something that we see. And the last thing, at least from my point of view, is what I was to answer. The first question is we believe that as solution provider and technology provider to the industry, we need to move from ticketing to broader product monetization. At the end of the day, ticketing engines are very central because they are essentially handling the public data and the live performance data information of product. But as we progress, there will be new products, there will be streaming products, there will be virtual conferences product, etc. All the amazing content that you guys are producing, they have value and they need to be easily monetizable to the subscriptions and to the fans. So we believe that this is going to change, and we believe that we are here to actually help you and the industry to find new ways of generating revenue. Something we are, just to finish on one particular point, we are also present in the US, and particularly in the world of performing arts and museums, fundraising is key. And we clearly see that, with the pandemic and money getting scarce, we anticipate that this trend of the US will come to Europe in one form or shape or another. So being able to also manage membership and fundraising in an efficient manner, which is not necessarily something that the European sector is used to, is going to come as well. So, we are here to provide the tools and the processes to make it as efficient as possible. Maybe, Sean, you would like to add something?
No, you're perfectly right regarding the fundraising. It's a key vision that we have. That we have to build some tools, some specific tools, to have some specific partner in order to fulfill the feature to help you for the fundraising. Because today it's 2 separate tools. It's one CRM, another one is ticketing. But our vision is that we have to merge those 2 tools in order to facilitate your job. You're perfectly right, Frédéric. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your insights. I will now make a nice transition because during my conversations with Secutix, this wonderful team, we also realized how ticketing could be also a bridge between the website and the hosting platform, the content. I learned a lot about the reaction of the Louvre during the crisis, about the giveaway content. So it's very interesting to see how virtual culture has been embraced by the public, which is still here today during this crisis. I think the challenge is now to also harness the internet to generate virtual and much needed income in these wonderful cultural institutions. So thank you very much for your time, Frédéric and Christian. It was a great pleasure to have you both with us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Hélène.
Thank you very much.
So now I will give the floor to Muguet and François.
Thank you, Hélène. Hello, everyone. This is our very last roundtable, yet an interesting one. We will focus on the audience relationship through digital innovation. And I would like to introduce our speakers first. Guillaume Decotte, he is the founder and CEO of Vialma, a streaming service for classical and jazz music lovers, and the classical music database for cultural organizations. The name Vialma is the acronym of the expression Vivre avec les merveilles de l'art, to live with the wonders of arts. Our next speaker is, as we heard earlier, Karl de Poncin. He is the co-founder and CEO of Fendt, a Franco-German startup which has turned into the European leader in live subtitling for theaters, operas, and festivals. Fendt develops innovative solutions to open theaters and opera houses to a wide audience while overcoming language barriers and hearing disabilities. And our very last speaker is Christopher Wiedauer. He was the head of the digital development at Vienna State Opera for 7 years. He participated in the successful launch of the Opera House's streaming platform and the implementation of a new surtitling system. This year, he has joined Music as Chief Business Development Officer, and Music provides digital music reading solutions for music organizations. I let now François to start with our very first question.
Hello and welcome to our guest speakers. It's a real pleasure for us to have you and to be able to hear from your experiences and expertise. Especially in the context of COVID, we have seen how the relevance of digital tool has increased for cultural organizations and institutions in order to sustain a relationship with the audiences. And what we would like to know from your experience is how are cultural organizations embracing this digital shift, this digital innovation to maintain these relationships with audiences, but also with donors? And how do you accompany them to achieve this kind of new relationships? Carl, would you like to start?
I'm sorry, the sound was bad on my computer. Would you mind
repeating? Not at all. The question is, no worries. It's how are cultural organizations embracing this digital shift and these digital innovation to maintain the relationship with audiences and donors?
Oh no, yeah, sure. Well, I come rather from the theater world, so with an experience with spoken theater, and there are some familiarities or some similarities. It's like cousins in the sense that opera and ballet have different, slightly different approach, but you always have the question of your existing audience and what you expect to be your new audience. So of course, your existing audience is more trustful, loyal, you have loyalty programs. Many public theaters rely on people that take a subscription for the year for 3, 4, 5 performances on a regular basis. Some are also donors. So you have a kind of steps, a kind of stair with several steps where people become loyal members of your community. But you have to find the balance between cherishing these loyal customers and looking for new ones. And when we talk about performing arts with many times a public role, a public mission, a political mission given by the state, when it's funded by the state, you also have to spend some time looking for new audiences and therefore new formats to interact with them. And I think flexibility in that matter is the key, so that you are able, depending on the circumstances, to rely more on cherishing your existing audience or looking for a new audience. And for that, digital tools are a necessity, because you have to go fast to switch from one target to the other, and be able to be quick and efficient in reaching these people. So if you're talking about finding new donors in times of pandemic, if you do it the traditional way only, it might not be sufficient, and therefore calling to the power of the World Wide Web and community-based social marketing are definitely ways to do it. And finally, and I think this is what unites all these strategies, is to work really hard. This is what I said earlier about putting the spectator at the center. It's a bit like in a supermarket where you put the customer at the center. Sorry, it's a bit trivial, but it's about thinking how you can do everything to serve your spectators, the existing ones and the new ones, what services they will need, conducting surveys to understand what the existing ones are expecting, why people are not becoming loyal spectators, and therefore driving offers around that. And I think the persona, the type of people that you identify as spectators, loyal spectators or donors, are quite similar or analog, because in the end they are looking for a kind of service and you have to provide it to them. So for a last minute customer, it will be the possibility to go very fast. For a new customer, a new spectator, it will be the possibility to understand, to get an introduction before, during, or after the show. For a donor, it will be to have access to a VIP room. But it's all about what's happening around these amazing cultural offers to make them more, to put service at the center, especially for the administrative and customer relationship management departments, because we are not artists ourselves. So we are doing our share, basically.
Thank you very much. And perhaps, Christopher, you would like to build on what Carl just mentioned, and the fact that from your experience at the Vienna State Opera, how one institution can use these tools to target new audiences and to reach out to new possible spectators.
Hi, thank you for the invitation. Very happy to see you all. Very briefly, I think the biggest chance of every kind of initiative of digitalization is always personalization. So it's engage your audience, it's get in touch with your audience, it's personalize offer and communication, as opposed to traditional non-online, non-digital, print or whatever kind of communication. You can target and you can personalize your message. And this is everything that you do that is on digital platforms that is not personalizing, that is not getting in touch with your audience in a direct and personal way, is a waste of resources. So what we learned at Vienna State Opera was we launched our live and on-demand streaming platform 7 years ago. And now during the COVID time, we had an additional 250,000 people, opera enthusiasts of all over the world, who registered for this for this service newly during the pandemic. We delivered 3.5 million streams to all those people around the world, and to every single one we have a personal connection that can now be, of course, exploited and used by an intelligent CRM system. But the first point is establish this connection, and then personalize your message. Establish as many touch points as you can. So, like Carl already said, this the systems of subtitling or any kind of service that you provide to your patrons in your houses, in your venues, look at it as a digital touch point to people that are sitting there. So, but to real people, not only to a mass of patrons that might enjoy some subtitles in different languages, but to people sitting there, getting in touch with them. So this is what we tried with the Vienna State Opera subtitling, in-seat subtitling system that is now that we are now going to spread also in other theaters. And of course, I mean, if I'm not talking about services, it's this my third and my new is our third project in Vienna State Opera. My new activity now is working with music, which again uses digital technology to give you a completely different access to resources. In this case, now it's sheet music, but look at it also from this point of view, that you personalize this access and that you enable everybody, also in times of social distancing regulations and all this corona crisis now, which will accompany us for quite a while. Take it as a chance to strengthen the ties between people working on one and the same project, between you as a venue, you as an opera house, to individualize this access. And of course, all that, especially of course if we are talking about customers, is then enhancing also your ways of talking to people about individual giving, about sponsorship, about philanthropy. because combining all the information that you get from ticketing, from streaming, be live or on demand, from digital touchpoints on your websites, from digital touchpoints in your houses, combining all that into one powerful data set enables you then to again address people individually according to their interests, according to everything that you know about their customer experience in your house, about the customer history, the history of visits, the history of clicks, the history of views of live streams. Combine that into one data set to be able to talk to people personally, individually, then you will succeed. And this is also what, on the other hand, people expect now. You act in this balance between knowing too much and knowing too little, or individualizing too much or individualizing too little. I tell you one little story and then it's over for me. In the time that in which we were still able to travel, about maybe 2 years ago, I sat in a plane, fairly empty, in row 17 on the aisle, and the stewardess came, and across the aisle there was a gentleman sitting, and she said, "Herr Müller, what may I give you today?" And he said, "Some water and a tea, maybe." And I thought, "Fuck! Why does she know that he's Herr Müller, and why does she talk to him personally? I mean, sorry, I'm flying 150,000 miles with that airline every year. So what's going on here?" And then she asked me, "Herr FEDORA, what can I do for you?" And immediately I thought, fuck, how does she know who I am? What does she do with my data? You know, so it's this balance that we have to reach. Address people personally, not too much, but on the other hand, we expect it. And so if you as a venue now, as an opera house or as a venue that sells tickets at quite high price, you expect a personal service. And if I now get a newsletter by any kind of opera that I am, or by any kind of cultural venue that I am affiliated to, that I visit quite often, and I get a newsletter with stupid information that does not refer to me, then I say, man, you know, do your homework and come back. So this is what I think we should really look into, and we can help with digital technology.
Absolutely, and the question of data is so relevant today, and I think it must resonate with you, Guillaume and Vilma, and also perhaps would be curious to know how you have seen during this pandemic and the crisis, the evolution of behavior of users of the platform.
Hi, so nice to meet you, everybody. Yes, we saw a dramatic change and uplift. So our streams, for example, increased by 50% per user during the first lockdown. The second lockdown, I don't have the exact statistics, but it's also very high. The consumption of what people are listening also is very interesting. We are more and more into slow tempi, I would say, more and more adagio, basically. If I were to name one specifically, I think if you're facing very challenging times, those data and looking at the data, as Christopher said, is very enlightening. Is that I'd like to bring some optimism. I think you have any concert hall has gold in your hands. You have a universe, and you have something to say to the world, which is both meaningful and beautiful, and which is much needed now. If you see, just if we look at a different art form, literature, or books which are sold, generally speaking, self-fulfillment and mindfulness is a bestseller category. I think it's because it answers a core need, but the way those books are made is not sufficient, I think. And you as artists and we, the art industry, have something to answer for this for this deep need, which is even strengthened in today's time. So that's on one side what you have to say is much needed today, and on the other you have amazing content. Sometimes one is stronger than the other because you might not have recorded that much, but it will surely build over time. And overall, how to express this and how to place it requires you to be very close to your donors and concert doers, as Carl said, and this is something which, if I were to give you a recommendation with the second lockdown, is that there was a surge of content which was provided online, but everybody was in the how and what and not really in the why we would communicate on different platforms. And I think that this second wave, plus the impact it will have over the long run, should be the time for us to first pause and think about what we do before we jump into doing it. And so initially we're a streaming service of classical and jazz, bringing a fresher perspective to classical, to those two music forms, but by being multimedia and multi-format. But with what happened, we decided to give all our knowledge and know-how to the service of concert halls so that they could use it for their own benefits. And so I think we see today 4 ways in which tech can help you. First, it's to better express your universe. And I think that Facebook, YouTube, the other any social media has a constraint. The layout, the navigation, the experience is set for you, and you need something which is more bespoke so that you can express yourself. And this is something we can help you with, but that requires for you to know why people should engage with you specifically and what kind of bespoke experience you would need. Second is I think tech is complementary, and for the moment we're putting too much things as it would be, but any art form is doing this. We put all the books online and we expect people to read them on their tablets as if they were having a book. I personally love to have a book, but in my hands, and I enjoy the digital experience around the book, which will help me in memorizing better, for example, what I read. So I think tech is a support to what the live performance can bring, and we shouldn't consider it as a substitute. And this is very important to understand how both can work together, how both can work intertwine. Third is the relevance of the content which is offered. I think this is where we need to be very innovative. Relevance meaning bringing the right content at the right person at the right time. That requires a lot of data analysis. It requires also to be able to change a bit the format. For example, I know how sad it might sound. The engagement rate of an opera watched online is only on average 27 minutes on our platform. And so the dropout rate for a full opera is very high. So you have to, we could work our whole lifetime to make people watch the full performance on their laptop or their iPads, or we can think straight away what would make that people would enjoy it on their iPads just for their iPad experience, and which would then make them go back to the opera to watch it in full. And the first one is the personalization at scale, which was what Christopher said. So I don't think I need to go further in this. But the main point is there is a massive opportunity for you to embrace tech for what it can bring as an extension to what you're already offering, which requires to know exactly what you're offering and to understand deeply what people are expecting from their home.
Well, thank you all for such interesting insight. And it's true that customer attention is something very scarce these days, as more and more content are flooding over the internet. And I'll leave it to Müge.
Thank you very much. I actually leave the floor to Edilia after thanking you, Carl, Christopher, and Guillaume for this interesting insights and your views on the subject. Edilia, now you can maybe close the session.
Thank you to all of you for your time and for your interest and your encouragement, not just today, but also throughout the entire past season, and for being with us also today, sharing your time and insights with us. Thank you to all the guest speakers. Thank you for your support throughout the year, not just today. Thank you to my amazing team. It's incredible what is possible when there's a will and when there's energy and passion. And I'm so thrilled that we can build this every time together. You inspire me every day. Thanks to you, we survive the everyday in lockdown. And thank you to all of you who are with us today. If you want to have more information, feel free to reach out to us to be put in touch with the guest speakers you heard today, or if you have other questions about the prizes competition. A last reminder, December 4th, if you still want to apply to get funding for your projects. We're very grateful for the support of everyone in this call. And maybe as a final note, Mr. Zieseniss, you're still with us. If you want to close, that would be wonderful.
Well, thank you very much, Edilia, to you especially, of course, and to your team for the organization and all the ideas. Thank you also to our partners and guests for this very interesting, friendly, and inspiring conference. Thank you.